Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Pimlico Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 21st of May 2022. It's Preakness Day from Pimlico, and I'm going to look at the Preakness and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Some great racing the next few weeks, of course. You have the Irish 2000 Guineas today at the Curragh. Next week you have some great racing in the UK, especially Thursday, where you have a great stand-down fixture. So join me for that. And also stateside, you have some decent races also next weekend with the Hollywood Gold Cup and the big New York Stakes races on Memorial Day from Belmont. But let's look at the stakes action from Pimlico. We have quite a few races to look at, races 4, 5, and then 7 through 13. You got that? Let's get to the fourth race now from Pimlico, which is the Maryland Sprint. It's a grade 3 event going for a purse of $150,000. Races going for a purse $150,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have 7 horses going to the main track. The distance of ground here of 1,200 meters, with the distance of ground of 6 furlongs on the Pimlico main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs here in the Maryland Sprint. A race always to be remembered by. I believe this is the race that Artax got interfered with by that crazy fan running onto the track in like 1999 or 98. It's that race. But my top selection here, I'm going to go take the number 7 horse Jackson Traveler. Let's go 7-5-4-6 in the superfecta. 7-5-4-6 super. Top selection, 7 horse Jackson Traveler. This, something on my shirt. This 4-year-old colt by Munnings. Steve Asmussen trains one. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came 21st of April at Aqueduct. 6 furlongs and optional 80 claimer, and the horse finished second by a half length. He was with the leaders early on, a little bit wide, had the lead, but then he got caught right before the wide by Mr. Phil, who just outgamed this horse. He ran his heart out. Coming here to Maryland, this Maryland bred loves running here at Pimlico, 3 for 2 on this track. His worst finish was a second here locally in the Chick Lang last season. I'm going to give him another shot to get to the winner's circle. 2 back for the Not for Love Stakes at Laurel, 6 furlongs, 19th of March. He finished second by 3/4 length. He was on the front end most of the race from a wide post draw. He kind of was hitting the wall late, but he didn't go down without a fight. I thought he showed potential there, earning a 92 pyre. Major improvement off the race before, which was the fire plug at Laurel, 6 furlongs, 29th of January. He finished 5th by 11 3/4 lengths that day. He lost all chances at the beginning that day, was very wide throughout, and he just couldn't get to the front end. He's a kind of horse, he does his better running there, not from behind. And then prior to that in the Gravesend at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs. He finished second by 3 1/4 lengths. He was very rambunctious in the gate, and that probably cost him because he really couldn't concentrate on the run. But like I said, he likes running here at Pimlico. He won a state-bred stakes race here in August, going 3/4 by 3 lengths very nicely on the front end. Before that, won the Chick Lang here, and won as a 2-year-old here very, very nicely. Coming back locally again, I'm going to give him a shot at 3-1. You also have to give a shot to the 5-horse Full Authority. John Court's on this one, the veteran, this 5-year-old horse by Summer Front. Most recently at Oaklawn, going 3/4 and optional 100 on the slot. The horse won by a neck. It really put on a show that day, showed potential. And then before that, going 3/4 at Oaklawn in optional 50, he won by 2 1/4 lengths. And coming from mid-pack, I thought that was a very good run. Coming here locally, his buyers are up to scratch. He has a lot of front-end speed, or he could stalk. At 5-1, we're going to use him here on the multis. But to recap my selection for the 4th from Pimlico, it's the grade 3 Maryland Sprint. Let's take the 7 horse Jackson Traveler. Give kudos to the 5 horse Full Authority. 7-5-4-6 super. Let's go 7-5 in your multi race. The 5th race from Pimlico, it is the Gallauret Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a purse of $150,000. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses stepping onto the turf course. The distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or a mile 16th on the Pimlico turf course. 1,700 meters, a mile 16 turf. And right now I have Pimlico up on the screen. The track's rated fast and the turf course is firm. Got quite a bit of rain on Thursday, so they were off the turf on Thursday, so the ground should be good. But the big question today is the weather. It's going to be about 100 degrees, 105 with the heat index, I think high of 97, which is very unusual for this time of year. All up and down the East Coast, it's going to be warm. Here in New York City, it's going to be like 90 degrees, which is horrible. But just keep the weather in mind. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 2 horse Crystal Cliffs. Let's go 2-4-3-5 5 in the superfecta. 2-4-3-5 super, top selection of 2-horse Crystal Cliffs, 5-year-old mare by Canford Cliffs. Grand Motion trains this one. Tarla Gaffleon gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 2nd of April at Gulfstream, and the seasonal reappearance about a mile 16th on the lawn in the Sand Springs. The horse won by 2 3/4 lengths, and he finally found the winner's circle. He didn't find it the last season, but this year in his debut, he really found it. He came from the back of the pack a little bit wide, but he took full control late. An all-around good race. Coming to Pimlico again, should get a good trip from his front-running style or from mid-pack style. I'm going to give him a shot. 2 back in the Eatontown at Monmouth, the mile 16th on the 20th of June. He finished 3rd by 3.5 lengths. He was very wide throughout, and it just took him a little bit of time to get going. Those deep closures at Monmouth seemed last season, they weren't really getting the job done. They were just a little bit too short there. Maybe it was because of the crop rule, I don't know. And then before then, the Dahlia at Pimlico on the 24th of April, mile 16th there. In his seasonal reappearance, he finished 2nd by a nose. He just came up a little bit too late, but he was closing up like nowhere late. And then before then, the regret, June of 2020 at Churchill, mile 8th. He finished 2nd by head. And again, he just couldn't get there, but really had a great turn of foot. And then the North America debut on the 31st of May of 2020 at Churchill. Mile 8th allowance race 64,000, win by 3/4 length. Again, coming from mid-pack, an all-around good race. Has a good post draw. Should see some pace in this race to get a good turn of foot. I'm going to take him here 2-1. You can't throw out the 4-horse technical analysis either. Most recently, the Plenty of Grace at Aqueduct, a mile Manor turf course on the 16th of April. He finished 2nd by a half length, and he stalked. He had the lead. It just wasn't 100% cranked. Plum Ali got to this horse, but he ran his heart out there. Before that, ran a massive place in the QE2 Cup at Keeneland on yielding ground, and then won the Lake Classic and Lake George before that, Saratoga, very, very nicely on a little bit of soft and good ground. But coming here today, should get a good trip from the front end. 7-5. I definitely use in your early pick 5. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Pimlico, it's the Grade 3 Gallauret. Let's take the 2-horse Crystal Cliffs. Give kudos to the 4-horse technical analysis. 2-4-3-5 super. Let's go 2-4 in your multi-race to the 7th. The 7th race from Pimlico, it is the Skipat Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses heading to the starting gate. The distance of ground here of 1,200 meters, or the distance of ground of 6 furlongs on the Pimlico main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs here in the Skipat. My top selection, we're going to go take the number 4 horse here, Joy's Rocket. Let's go 4-5-2-6 in the superfecta. 4-5-2-6 super. Top selection of 4 horse, Joy's Rocket. 4-year-old filly by Anthony's Cross. Steve Asmussen trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 30th of April at Oaklawn. 6 furlongs, an optional 75 claimer. And the horse finished 2nd by 2 1/4 lengths that day. He just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. He quickened up a little bit late, but he just needed something. Maybe with a little bit of a faster pace, he could get the job done. Coming to Pimlico, I think he could find the fast pace to run a good race here today. 2 back in the Carousel at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs on the 2nd of April. He finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He stalked a very wicked front-end pace that day, which cost him. He kind of hit the wall late, and it was a very tough race. It just wasn't his day to win. And then the 11th of March at Oaklawn. 6 furlongs up 62. He finished 2nd by a neck that day. He stalked that day, was really closing up well, acting out, just had the jump on him late, who actually beat him in the Carousel. But this horse still ran a terrific race for the place there, earning an 84 buyer. And then before then, the American Beauty at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs, 22nd of January. He finished 2nd by a neck and had a horrible beginning. Changed the tactics, came from nowhere. If he probably would have broke better, he probably would have won, but I thought that was a very good race. Coming here today at 10-1, I'm going to use him. You also have to use the 5-horse Gallauret. This 5-year-old mare by Munnings, Horacio Caramanos gets the mount. Most recently in the Paramanetta at Laurel, 6 furlongs on 23rd of April. The horse won by 3/4 length. Stupidly wide, coming from the back end. I thought this horse ran a terrific race, earning a 90 buyer. And then before that, an allowance race 74 grand at Laurel, 5.5 on the 13th of March. Finishing 2nd by 3/4 length. Again, coming from nowhere. This horse really ran a good race. Making the Pimlico debut. Should see a fast pace in this one. The buyers are up to scratch. I'll give this horse a shot at 4-1 also. But to recap my selection for the 7 from Pimlico, it's the Skipat. Let's take the 4-horse Joy's Rocket. Give kudos to the 5-horse Kelleris. Can't speak. Let's go 4-5-2-6 super, 4-5 in the multi-race. The 8th race from Pimlico, it's the Dinner Party Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a purse of $250,000. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses going to the Pimlico turf course. The distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the mile 16th trip on the Pimlico turf course. 1,700 meters, a mile 16th here in the Dinner Party. formerly known as the Dixie. I used to like when they ran this race at a mile and an eighth on the turf. Years and years ago, it used to be a mile and a half, but I thought a mile and an eighth was a little bit better trip. But that's just me being picky. But my top selection, I'm going to take the 3-horse set piece. Let's go 3, 4, 6, 5 in the superfecta. 3, 4, 6, 5 super. Top selection of 3-horse set piece. The 6-year-old gelding by Dancel. Brad Cox trains this one for Juddmonte. Florent Giroux gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 15th of April at Keeneland. 1 mile in the Maker's Mark mile. That grade 1 event there. He finished 7 by 2 lengths there. And, you know, he was with them early on. It was an all-out finish. Everybody seemed like they were running a good race there. He just couldn't get there. Earning a 100 buyer for his seasonal reappearance wasn't half bad. Way down the class ladder here today to Pimlico. I think you should see a good trip to get to the winner's circle today. 2 back around the grade 1 Woodbine mile at Woodbine. 1 mile on the EP Taylor Turf course on the 18th of September. He finished 7 by 4 3/4 lengths. You know, and he sat back early. It took him a little bit of time to get going. It didn't have a clear running room. It just wasn't his day to win. And to tell you the truth, I don't know why he was sent off as a favorite there. And then before then, the 4-star Dave handicap at Saratoga, a mile on the inner turf course on the 14th of August. Finished second by 1 1/4 lengths behind Scott Stormy. He closed up from nowhere after a horrible beginning, was stupidly wide, but ran his heart out there. That was probably his best race of the summer, even with the defeat there. And then before then, the wise Dan at Churchill over the mile 16th. He won by a half length, coming from nowhere at the back of the pack. He really got the job done late, and then won the stakes race before that at Churchill, going a mile 16th very, very nicely. Coming here today, should see a good trip from this inside post draw. You know, at 8 to 5, let's use him. You know, the 4-horse Beacon Hill is your wise guy horse. Michael Matz trains one. Joe Osario gets the mount on this 5-year-old gun by Blame. His seasonal reappearance at Keeneland, going a mile 16th in an allowance race for $129,000. He finished second by a nose that day, and he just couldn't get there late, but he just ran as good as the winner. And then before that, they took him to the mile and a half at Belmont in the point of entry, where he finished second by half a length, where again, he was very game. Shamrocket just had the jump on him, but this horse still ran his heart out there. And then back at Keeneland a few weeks prior in an allowance race, finished third by 3/4 length, and again, he just couldn't get there. When he runs here in Maryland, he always runs these good races, back to the base, and 9 to 2. Even with a step up in class, his buyer's up to scratch. We'll give him a shot here on the multi-race ticket. The pick 6 begins with this race, so I want to go a little deep here. To recount my selection for the 8th from Pimlico, it's the grade 2 dinner party. Let's take the 3-horse set piece. Give kudos to the 4-horse Beacon Hill. 3, 4, 6, 5 super. Let's go 3, 4 in your multi-race. The 9th race from Pimlico, it's the Chick Lang Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a purse of $200,000. Races for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 9 horses going to the main track. The distance of ground of 1,200 meters, or the 6-furlong trip on the Pimlico main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs here in the Chick Lang. Top selection, I'm going to go... Where are we? I'm going to go with the 6-horse Chasing Time. Let's go 6-1-7-5 in the superfecta. 6-1-7-5 super. Top selection was the 6-horse Chasing Time. This 3-year-old colt by Not This Time. Steve Asmussen trains this one. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 2nd of April at Oaklawn. A mile and 8th in the grade 1 Arkansas Derby. One thing's for sure, this horse doesn't want to go 2 turns, especially a mile and 8th. He finished 9th by 15 3/4 lengths. He was stalking the pace early on, then just completely crumbled by the half. Back to 6, which I think he really wants. Lesser quality horses. He's at 12 to 1. He's going to be a great price for this multi-race pick 6 ticket. 2 back in the Rebel at Oaklawn on a mile 16th on 26th February. He finished 5th by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked. Never got the good turn of foot. Like I said, just not a router. He won going a mile in January, but he had everything his own way on the front end and optional 80 at Oaklawn. Went by 7 3/4 lengths. He basically, just it was a paid workout setting his own pedestrian fractions. When you go 24 to the first quarter, you're probably going to win, and nearly 48. It was a very easy race from there. And then before that, sprinting at Oaklawn on the mud, 6 furlongs, optional 80. He finished second by 6 lengths, and he just kind of stalked, could never get the good turn of foot, but he ran his heart out there. And then his maiden victory came at Churchill, going 7/8 in the main special weight, won by 1 1/4 lengths, and basically just took off clear from a tracking position. Should get a good trip here today. He's training well at Belmont. Steve Asmussen, Preakness weekend at Pimlico. His horses always seem to fire. 12 to 1, let's use him. You also have to give kudos to the one horse here, Cogburn. Steve Aston trains this one. Joel Rosario gets the mount. This horse looks like he's going to be in main speed. Most recently, the Bachelor at Oakland, going 3/4 on 30th of April. He finished second by a neck that day. He broke okay that day, basically all in the front and all throughout until Wayland Springs got to him. But he ran his heart out there, and then before that, he won going 6 furlongs off 100, first time facing winners at Oakland, winning by 4 on the front and all throughout. He took off clear. He should definitely be on the improve. He's training well. Let's use him here at 5-2. But to recount my selection for the ninth from Pimlico, it's to Chick Lang. Let's take the 6-horse chasing time. Give kudos to the 1-horse Cogburn, 6-1-7-5 Super. Let's go 6-1 in your multi-race to the 10th event. The 10th race from Pimlico, it's the James W. Murphy Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 11 horses going to the Pimlico turf course. The distance of ground here of 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Pimlico turf course. 1,600 meters, a mile here in the James W. Murphy. My top selection, we're going to go take the number 5 horse here who was ready to perform. Let's go 5-7-4-10 in the superfecta. 5-7-4-10 super. Top selection of 5 horse ready to perform. 3-year-old colt by Kitten's Joy. Brad Cox trains. Florent Giroux gets the mount. First start Lasix for this one. Most recently, the horse ran the 5th of November at Del Mar. 1 mile and the Qatar Gold Mile. He finished 7 by 4 lengths that day, and he was at the detriment of the wide poster. He was breaking 8 of 9. You need to have good position on the Del Mar turf course, which he didn't. He was very wide throughout. He closed up a little bit late, but it wasn't anything spectacular. Coming here to Pimlico with a better trip, an evener turf course, shall we say, he should really get a good run to win today. Before that, he ran the Laurel Futurity at Laurel, mile 16th on the 2nd of October, and he won by 3 1/4 lengths, and he closed up from basically nowhere that day. He was a little bit wide, a little bit bumping in the lane, but he got the job done. A very good victory, first-time winners. And then before that, the 3rd of September at Ellis, a mile 16th in the main specialty for 50 grand. He won by a nose, and from a tracking position, he was a little bit wide, but he really put on a show. I would like to see him sit a little bit closer. Starting off his debut here, a 3-year-old debut here today, 5-2. I'm going to give him a shot. You have to give a shot also to the 7-horse Riot House. This 3-year-old gelding by Violence. Denny Gargan trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. Most recently at Gulfstream on the 17th of April, about a mile and opposite 75. The horse won by 2 1/4 lengths, and from a tracking position, he just kept going. An all-around good race for him there. And then his 3-year-old campaign debut on the 12th of March at Gulfstream, about 7.5 on a good turf course, the main special weight. He won by a neck, and he stalked, he got the lead, and he fought a good race to the wire. That was a very good run, first time routing. Coming here today, training well on the Oklahoma train track at Saratoga, half mile 48-1, the best workout 34. I'm going to give him a shot also. He looks like he could be the main speed. So to recount my selection for the 10th from Pimlico, it's James W. Murphy. Let's take the 5 horse ready to perform. Give kudos to the 7 horse Ryan House. 5-7-4-10 super, 5-7 in your multi-race. The 11th race from Pimlico, it's the Sir Barton Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. This race is for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 10 horses going to the main track. The distance of ground here of 1,700 meters, or the mile 16th trip on the Pimlico main track. 1,700 meters, a mile 16th here in the Sir Barton. My top selection, we're going to go take the number 10 horse Rugs. Let's go 10-8-5-1 in the superfecta. 10-8-5-1 super. Top selection, 10 horse Rugs. 3-year-old colt by Gunrunner. Ron Moquette trains this one. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 1st of April at Oaklawn. 1 mile and option 100 claimer, and the horse won by 2 3/4 lengths, and he basically stalked, got the lead, and could have won around another 5 times, earning an 83 buyer, best of his career. I thought that was a very good run. Coming to stakes quality horses, his buyer's up to scratch to run against these horses. Even with a wide post draw, I think he could overcome it to run a really good race here today. 2 back ran the 12th of March at Oaklawn, a mile 16th and optional 80, and he finished 4th by 8 3/4 lengths that day. He was on the front end early on. He just couldn't stay the AAA. It just wasn't his day to win. And then before that at Oaklawn, a mile 16th and optional 100, he finished 5th by 14 lengths, and he was very wide that day throughout, which really cost him. He needed a better post draw. And then before then, the Smarty Jones on the slop at Oaklawn, 1 mile on New Year's Day. He finished 8th by 5 1/4 lengths, and he was with a very fast pace early on, which cost him. And then at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs in the Advent Stakes in December, he finished 4th by 4 3/4 lengths, very wide, and just again never really showed up. He's training well. His most recent races, he's really been on the improve. At 10-1 with Rosario up, I'm going to give him a shot. Give a shot also to the 8-horse Unike, the Strio Colt by Unified. Terry Pompey trains when Ira Tees Jr. gets the mount. Most recently going 7/8 to Keelan on the 23rd of April and optional at 80. The horse finished second by a head and sat back early, slowly moved his way up. He got caught late, but really, showed potential there. And then the slop going 3/4 at Gulfstream in main special weight, won by 2 1/4 lengths again, sitting back early, a little bit wide, but he got the job done after some quick fractions, which was to his liking. Going to a mile 16th, which I think is the next logical thing. At 4-1, let's use him. And also in this wide open race, you have to give a kudos to the 5-horse B-Hawk. Tyler Gaffleone gets on this one. Most recently going about 7 furlongs in the main special at Keelan, he won by 11 1/4 lengths, and from a tracking position, he took off clear. Before that at Santa Anita, they were running him, I thought, a little bit too short of trips, but he's a router. He's going to get the routing trip again today. He's drawn well, 5-2 off that most recent run. He's in serious contention to get to the winner's circle also. But to recount my selection for the 11th from Pimlico, it's the Sir Barton Stakes. Let's take the 10-horse Rugs. Give kudos to the 8-horse Unike and the 5-horse B-Hawk. 10-8-5-1 Super. Let's go 10-8-5 in your multi-race. The 12th race now from Pimlico. It's the Jim Mckay Turf Sprint. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses going to the turf course. The distance of ground here of 1,000 meters, or the distance of ground of 5 furlongs on the Pimlico turf course. 1,000 meters, 5 furlongs here in the Jim Mckay Turf Sprint. Very exciting race. My top selection, I'm going to go with the number 6 horse here, Smokin' J. I'm going to go 6-2-7-3 in the superfecta. 6-2-7-3 super. Top selection, the 6 horse, Smokin' J. 4-year-old colt by Cairo Prince. Kelsey Kanner trains this one. Kelsey Danner trains this one. Jose Ortiz gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came New Year's Eve at Gulfstream, about 5/8 on the turf course in the Giannis Stakes, and the horse finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths. Sat back early after a quick pace in front of him, closed up well, but Cantori, who's running this back in this one, just had the jump on this one. Comeback seasonal reappearance here today, should see a good pace from mid-pack. I think this horse could really run a good race again today. 2 back in the Kennedy Road at Woodbine, 6 furlongs on the Tapeta on the 27th of November. The horse finished 8th by 5 1/2 lengths that day and was just very wide, which cost his horse the victory. Couldn't keep up late. And then the car place at Belmont, 7 furlongs on the 22nd of October. He finished 2nd by 3/4 length. And again, he sat back early. He slowly moved his way up, but Rustler just had the jump on him. And then the Allied Forces at Belmont, 6 furlongs wide in their turf course, 17th of September. He won by a head, coming from mid-pack that day. He beat a good group of horses home, an all-around good race. When he runs the 5-furlong turf sprint, he's 4-1, but he always runs these good races when he's clear. His only victory with the 5 furlongs came at Delaware last season on an optional 25, winning by a neck, coming from mid-pack. I thought it was a very good race. He's definitely been on the improve. Off the bench here, training well Keelan. I'll give him a shot at 6-1. You also have to give a shot to the 2-horse Cartari. Brian Lynch trains one. Louis says gets the mount. Hasn't been seen since that Giannis Stakes at Gulfstream on New Year's Eve, going about 5 furlongs, winning by 1 3/4 lengths. This horse just took off clear on the front end, earning a 97 buyer. That was a good way to end off the year. Before that, an allowance race for 92 at Keelan, 5 1/2 on the turf course. The horse won by 3/4 length, and again, just basically had his own way on the front end, quickened up nicely, and a very easy run. Another horse making his Pimlico debut, likes the turf sprint at 5 furlongs, 27 added, always runs these good races. 9-5. We'll definitely use this horse in multis. And the 7-horse Grateful Bread, I think you have to use also. He placed in King Leatherberry at Laurel, going 5 1/2 a few weeks ago, and he's 2 for 2 on this turf course, running very well last season here. Another horse, 6-1. Let's use him to possibly blow up this pick 6. But to recount my selection for the 12th from Pimlico, it's the Jim Mckay Turf Sprint. Let's take the 6-horse Smokin' J. Give kudos to the 2-horse Caratari and the 7-horse Grateful Bread. 6-2-7-3 Super. 6-2-7 in your multi-race. Let's get to the big 13th race from Pimlico. The featured 13th race from Pimlico, it is the Preakness Stakes. It's a Grade 1 event going for a purse of $1.5 million. Races for 3-year-olds here. We have 9 of them going to the Pimlico main track. The distance of ground here of 1,900 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 3/16 on the Pimlico main track. 1,900 meters, 1 mile 3/16 here in the Preakness. My top selection here, I love the 5 horse early voting. Let's go 5-8-4-1 superfecta. 5-8-4-1 in the superfecta. Top selection, the 5 horse early voting is 3-year-old colt by Gunrunner. Chad Brown trains. Jose Ortiz gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 9th of April at Aqueduct, a mile and 1/8 in the Grade 2 Wood Memorial, and the horse finished second by a neck behind Mo Donegal, who closed up from nowhere to get the lead. This horse, he set the pace that day. Some pretty fast fractions. He just couldn't keep up late, but he wasn't going down without a fight. I thought he ran his heart out off the 2-month refreshing. Quick turnaround here today. They were pointing to the Preakness all along. I think he could really run a good race here today. 2 back in the Withers at Aqueduct on a muddy going, a mile and 1/8 in the 5th of February, a track that was very, very heavy. He won by 4.5 lengths, and he set his own fractions from wide post, a little bit wide throughout, but he just kept going against the bias at Aqueduct, which we've seen a lot this past winter. It was the rail was either dead or the rail was speed. That afternoon, the rail was completely dead, but he just kept going on that dead rail, quickened up nicely, an all-around easy race for him there after all said and done. And then the debut on the 18th of December at Aqueduct, 1 mile in the main special 80,000, winning by 1.5 lengths from a tracking position. It took him a little bit of time to get going, but he got the job done. He's definitely been on the improve with every single race. Should definitely get the mile 3/16. He's drawn well. At 7-2, I love him. You can't throw out the 8-horse Epicenter. It's 3-year-old colt by not this time. Steve Abson trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. Most recently, 2 weeks ago in the Kentucky Derby at Churchill, he finished second by 3/4 on length, and he ran his heart out. He stalked. He slowly moved his way up, had the lead, and looked like he was going to get the piece of it, but Rich Strike closed up from nowhere to get the job done. This horse just ran his heart out there. Nothing bad about that race. Just sat a little bit too close to that stupidly fast pace early on. But before then, Louisiana Derby at the Fairgrounds over the mile 3/16. Guess what? He's a distance winner, winning by 2.5 lengths from a track position. He took off clear, and then before then, the Risen Star, he won by 2.25 lengths again. He basically put on a show there. He's going to be towards the front end at 6-5. He could definitely win on paper, and also the 4-horse Secret Oath. You would love to see this horse win for D. Wayne Lucas. This 3-year-old filly by Arrogate. Luis says gets the mount. He's trying to become the the third filly now in the last 15 years to win this race, or in the last 12 years to win the race. Starts off with Rachel Alexander in 2001, 2009, 2020 with that filly from Kenneth Mckay. I just can't think of her name right now. And then you have Secret Oath. She's trying to become that third horse. But most recently in the Kentucky Oaks at Churchill, going a mile late, the horse won by 2 lengths from tracking position. This horse closed up well to get the job done. Before then, the Arkansas Derby, this horse had a weird trip. He finished third by 3.5 lengths. Didn't break that well. Was wide throughout and was just in and out. Cyberknife just had the jump on her, but before that she was pretty perfect at Oaklawn. Won the Honeybee, won the Martha Washington, and broke the and won a lounge race on New Year's Eve very, very nicely. She get a good trip, definitely bred for the trip, the distance, training well. At 9-2, we definitely have to use her in the multis. Talking about the other horses now, I have simplification for 4th. He ran a good 4th place finish in the Kentucky Derby, closing up from nowhere. He ran a okay 3rd in the Florida Derby, where he didn't break the clearest. He'll probably sit a little closer than he did in the Derby. At 6-1, we'll use him on the bottom of the ticket. He's definitely superfecta, trifecta horse. To win, he's going to have a very good trip. I'm talking about the other horses now. Creative Minister, I do like his win on Derby Day at Churchill, but they're asking a little bit too much too soon. He's a horse. Use him on the underneath for a super high 5. Fenwick, I can't get behind him. He ran disappointingly in the Bluegrass. Broke the main before that at Tampa, though. He's going to have to quicken up quite a bit. At least 12 buyer points to beat these horses. 50-1, not a use for me. We already talked about the 4-horse Secret Oath and the 5-horse early voting. The 6-horse Happy Jack, possibly a super high 5 kind of horse, a superfecta horse, but I'll have to have a very good trip to win. He is getting blinkers on, something I have noticed. When he does have the blinkers on, he always runs these decent races, but he's the kind of horse I think maybe cutting back in trip would suit him a little bit better in the future. The 7-horse Armagnac for Tim Yakteen. I like the win at Santini a few weeks ago, but he's another horse. Are they asking a little bit too much too soon, stepping up to grade 1 quality horses with the quick turnaround? That's going to be a big question with him. I wouldn't be shocked if he wins like Rich Strike a few weeks ago, but he's the kind of horse, if he would get an exacta, get into the exacta for second, I could totally see. I would definitely use him in the supers there. We already talked about Epicenter, and the 9-horse Skippy Lawn Stocking, a super high 5 kind of horse, but but would really have to get a good trip to win. But for the high five, I would use him underneath there. But to recount my selection for the 13th from Pimlico, it's the Grade 1 Preakness. As a top selection, we'll take the 5-horse early voting. We'll give kudos to the 8-horse Epicenter and the 4-horse Secret Oath. 5-8-4-1 Super. Let's go 5-8-4 in your multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.